If you've been learning Spanish for a while, you've probably noticed that you can know hundreds or thousands of words, but that's not enough to make you sound natural. The biggest difference between intermediate learners and people who really sound like fluent Spanish speakers isn't really vocabulary or knowing all the different verb tenses. Instead, it's the little connector words and expressions that natives use constantly. These are the words that really make Spanish conversations flow naturally and not sound like they're from a textbook. So today I'm going to cover 10 of my favorites that can make a huge difference in your Spanish speaking. The first one is de hecho. This one means actually or in fact, and you'll hear this one everywhere. People may use it to add information, confirm something, or to maybe gently correct somebody. It's not 100% same as actually in English, but the idea is similar. So let's do some examples. De hecho, ya lo sabía. Actually, I already knew it. De hecho, ya lo sabía. Another example, de hecho, vivo cerca de aquí. Actually, I live close to here. One more example, no fue difícil. De hecho, fue bastante fácil. It wasn't difficult. In fact, it was quite easy. So you can see how de hecho is definitely similar to actually and in fact in English, but more so than that, it can be used to strengthen what you want to say or to confirm something as being real or correct. The next one we're going to cover is al final. This one means in the end or eventually. This is used extremely commonly when people tell stories. Al final, fuimos al restaurante. In the end, we went to the restaurant. Al final, tenía razón. In the end, he was right. Al final, todo salió bien. Everything worked out in the end. If you're telling stories in Spanish or recounting your day or some activities you did, this is an extremely easy way to start your last sentence. Al final, and then what you want to summarize. Next, we have por cierto. Por cierto means by the way. If you translate word for word, you could be made to think that it means for sure, por cierto, but it actually means by the way. Por cierto is a really smooth and easy way to change subjects while speaking. For example, por cierto, ¿cómo está tu mamá? By the way, how's your mom? Por cierto, no puedo ir mañana. By the way, I can't go tomorrow. And one more, maybe you can leave this one in the comments if you really like the video. Por cierto, me gustó mucho tu video. By the way, I really liked your video. Por cierto is just a really natural conversation bridge, and if you get used to using it, it'll definitely make you sound more natural. Next, we have SK. This one basically means it's just that. It's a little confusing at first because it's word for word, it just means it's that. But if you think of it as it's just that, and then something you want to say, it makes a little bit more sense. People use this all the time when explaining themselves, and it's an easy way to start sentences. You could say, es que estoy muy ocupado. It's just that I'm really busy. Or es que no entendí. It's just that I didn't understand. And one more, es que tenía mucho trabajo. It's just that I had a lot of work. You can see that this is kind of a natural, flowy way to start sentences. And even if you need a break to think of what you want to say next, you could just start with es que, and it gives you a second to form your next thought. It's also a nice way to soften your answer if you're saying no to something. Instead of just saying no, you could say, es que no tengo mucho tiempo. It's just that I don't have much time. Next, we have la verdad. This means honestly or to be honest. This one you hear all the time. Spanish speakers love to use la verdad es to start sentences. This is especially a great way to start off an opinion. For example, la verdad, no sé. Truth is, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. La verdad, me encantó. Honestly, I loved it. La verdad, prefiero el café. To be honest, I prefer coffee. This one is so common, you'll hear it all the time, and you should definitely work it into your Spanish if you want to sound more natural. Next, we have en realidad, which means actually or in reality. So it's a little bit similar to de hecho, which we covered earlier. This one is used a little bit more so when you want to make a correction or reverse something that was said before. For example, en realidad, no soy de España. Actually, I'm not from Spain. En realidad, fue bastante fácil. Actually, it was quite easy. En realidad, nunca he estado ahí. Actually, I've never been there. It's perfect whenever you want to clarify something. It's a good one to have. Next up, we have total, which could mean anyway. And Spanish speakers like to use total when they're wrapping up a story. Let's do some examples. Total, llegamos tarde. Anyway, we arrived late. And another one, total, decidimos irnos. Anyway, we decided to leave. This one is more common than people learning Spanish realize and is definitely a helpful one to know. This next one is extremely helpful, and it is además. Además means besides, also, what's more. And this one is great because a lot of Spanish learners overuse e to connect thoughts. Instead, you can use además to connect ideas more naturally. For example, maybe you're at a store with a friend and you're having a conversation about an item. Además, es muy barato. Besides, it's really cheap. Además, habla 3 idiomas. On top of that, he speaks 3 languages. Además, me encanta esta ciudad. Besides, I love that city. Además is very commonly used in the middle of different thoughts. It's just a great connector word. All of these examples are sentences that would be used in a greater conversation, and that's when además is a great word to connect thoughts between sentences and start your next one. Adding además to your Spanish-speaking arsenal will definitely make you instantly sound more organized and natural. Next up is aunque, which means even though or although. This is a great one to help you build more complex sentences and ideas in Spanish. Let's do some examples. Aunque estoy cansado, voy. Although I'm tired, I'm going. Another one, aunque llueva, saldremos. Even if it rains, we'll go out. And one more, aunque es difícil, vale la pena. Although it's difficult, it's worth it. If you want to avoid speaking in beginner sounding short sentences, you can start using aunque to bridge different ideas together. One last one is sin embargo, which means however. So sin embargo is a little bit more formal than pero, but if you want to upgrade your Spanish speaking and not sound like a complete beginner using pero, sin embargo is one that natives use very regularly. Let's do some examples. Quería ir, sin embargo, no pude. I wanted to go, however, I couldn't. Es caro. Sin embargo, vale la pena. It's expensive, however, it's worth it. Sin embargo is a great alternative to pero when you want to sound a little bit more advanced or be a little bit more formal. So that's it for the words I wanted to cover today. These are not as flashy or commonly taught, but they are extremely useful and important because they're the ones that Spanish speakers use all the time. These are the kind of words you have to incorporate into your Spanish if you want to sound more natural and fluent. Let me know if you already use some of these or if there's other ones that you have found that are extremely helpful and have transformed your Spanish. Maybe I can make another video on this topic. Spanish is filled with these kinds of important words and expressions that if you don't know, your speaking just won't sound right. So make sure to add these into your vocabulary and practice using them. See you next time.